Bentley brand vehicles have always been regarded as highly exclusive and valuable. The 1930 Bentley 4.5-liter blower is the holy grail of Bentley history. Richard Charlesworth's job is to drive Bentleys and mainly to represent them. He knows the history of Bentley motor cars like no other.
This is one of the famous Bentley blowers. It's a 1930 Bentley 4.5-litre supercharged, known affectionately as the blower. It's one of 50 road cars built to homologate the car for racing, and then there were a further 5 team cars produced, run by Tim Birkin, known as the Birkin team cars. So 55 in total. This is one of the 50 road cars. First of all, it's great fun. I mean, it's a big car, as you know. This was the car that Ettore Bugatti described as the fastest lorry in Europe at the time, because they kept beating Bugattis, of course. But it's because we don't drive the car a lot in the winter months, I'm just getting used to it again. But it's great fun to drive, and once you get the hang of it and get into the rhythm of it, it's quite straightforward to drive. A little more complicated than a modern car, but still great fun.
The 200 horsepower Bentley blower became famous through its participation in the Le Mans 24 Hour, but they were never able to win the race. Those who have heard the sonorous sound of the 4 hardly muted long-stroke cylinders, accompanied by the howling of the straight-tooth transmission, will not get this symphony of iron and steel out of their heads that quickly. And those who were able to experience the force drive in a Bentley blower know what Bugatti meant with the fastest truck.
It typifies the sort of boy's own spirit of the 1920s and 30s. It attracts attention wherever it goes, and people admire the motor car, so it makes me very proud to be able to drive it and to represent the company driving it. So it's a thrill in that way, but it's great fun dynamically. At its time, it was a very modern motor car, 4 valves per cylinder, overhead camshaft. It was a very modern car, and still today it performs very well. And with the right road conditions and the right weather conditions, there can be no finer way to spend a day in Austria.
The Bentley blower impresses with its size on the one hand and beautiful details and advanced technology on the other. The small Brooklands windows offers passengers in the Van den Pla body little protection from the raging wind. And by the way, Bentley only built the chassis in this car. The British let the rest get made outside the house of Bentley. Because these cars were run in races, quick fastening wheel fittings were mandatory. The main fascination of the blower naturally proceeds from the engine. Under the hood, 4 pistons working in cylinders which have about the size of a well-filled beer mug. From the electrics up to the oil supply, everything is solid and the best quality or handmade. W.O. Bentley was a friend of large things. Frills, such as compressors, should not actually come into his cars. Dual ignition driven by a vertical shaft, overhead camshaft, and 4 valves per cylinder are his work. But for his race director and financier, Tim Birkin, the compressor was the formula for victory, and that is why the master bent over. The Bentleys attained fame through numerous victories in the 24-hour Le Mans, the toughest endurance race in the world. From 1927 to 1930, the Bentley boys proved unbeatable 4 times in a row. However, the blower never completes the 24 hours, but pushes the competition to the death. Bentley designs the chassis conservatively. A massive lead frame construction with 2 rigid axles, leaf springs and friction dampers are the ingredients that will keep the body on the ground. In the interior of the open tourer, one finds comfortable leather seats and a surprising amount of space, but only in length, not in width. The driver can be pleased about an extensive clock collection, which informs him about the operation status of the vehicle. From the speed through to the coolant temperature to the boost pressure, everything is authentically conveyed. Even the really profane light switch is a little different here than in ordinary cars. The parking brake sits outside, but that doesn't matter because there are no windows in an open tourer anyway, and whatever the weather, these vehicles are never driven with the roof closed.
I once asked the president of the Bentley Drivers Club how often he put up the roof on his car in the 37 years that he'd owned it, and he looked at me with a very strange look and he said never. So I've never put the roof up on this either, so whatever the weather, when we're on the Kitzbühel Alpen Rally, the hood will stay down.
The big breakthrough in terms of racing success didn't come. Despite this, the blower is still unforgotten today, and around 40 blowers are scattered across the globe. And no one can escape the unbelievable fascination of this heavy-breathing old character, still today.